Welcome back. I'm Tiffany Meyer. As the World Economic Forum wraps up and President Trump sues JPMorgan Chase, we're joined by Jorge Jraissati, president of the Economic Inclusion Group. Jorge has just returned from the forum's annual gathering in Davos. Jorge, thank you so much for joining us. Great to see you again. Now, since you were just in Davos, what was it like this time around? Give us a sense of the atmosphere and its vision for the economy.
Most people associate Davos with the green agenda, but honestly, I believe that 80% of all the sessions were focused on artificial intelligence, on how artificial intelligence is affecting longevity, is affecting the workforce, is affecting even geopolitics. So that was the center and the focus of the event. And I think that the second issue that people really pay attention was the situation or the actions or the comments of President Trump when it comes to Greenland. So those two actions were the overwhelming majority of conversations.
I want to dig into the economic sphere because when it comes to America's economy, Citadel CEO Ken Griffin weighed in on the difference he's seen across this and the last administration. Actually, here's a clip of that.
You cannot imagine how painful it was each and every day under the Biden administration to look at what new crazy proposal was being put into place to solve a problem that didn't even exist. I mean, our constant friction at Citadel with the government across umpteen different aspects of our business was exhausting. And to have that literally end on one day, Election Day, just gives you so much energy as an entrepreneur to go back and build your damn business.
And your reaction to that, and was there a sense of the U.S. being the place to be to do business?
I think the US is the place to do business for several reasons. And what we just saw in that clip is the reality that many people feel in different industries, not only in traditional finance, but also in the crypto asset sector, in the energy sector. And I think the energy sector is something that everybody's paying attention. The demand for energy will double in the next decade. The consumption of energy of data centers will rise to 3 times more than what they consume now in just a few years. And what the Biden administration was doing is that it was having a very anti-energy agenda. So I think Trump's deregulation efforts and Trump energy efforts is what is bringing optimism and opportunity for businesses.
And expanding on that, there was a focus on over-regulation, stifling growth in Europe. I want to play a clip of the German Chancellor, Friedrich Merz, talking about that.
Both Germany and Europe have wasted incredible potential for growth in recent years by dragging feet on reforms and unnecessarily and excessively curtailing entrepreneurial freedoms and personal responsibility. We are going to change that now.
Your thoughts on that and what kind of changes we could see in the bureaucratic regulatory realm?
The reality is that if Europe doesn't reform itself, if Europe doesn't bring more markets, more dynamism, Europe will stagnate and eventually decline. All the economic indicators show that. The business activity is way less than in the US. And it's because of this overregulation of the economy. So I really hope that European leaders bring back markets and bring back a desire for entrepreneurship. In Europe, you can sense aversion towards risk. You sense a tendency to overregulate the economy. And we know that every time that this is implemented, the only logical consequence is economic stagnation, which also leads to political instability.
A lot to watch for there. Jorge, I want to pivot to another topic, though, because your organization specializes in the issue of debanking. President Trump is suing JPMorgan Chase over alleged debanking. It's a $5 billion lawsuit. Now, Trump's attorney said the company closed his accounts due to political and social motivations. First, though, what is debanking?
Debanking is a phenomenon that is way more common than people can even imagine. Imagine if you wake up one day and your bank accounts are closed without an explanation, without any opportunity to solve the problem, and without any place to go, anywhere to take your money. This is happening to many people for many reasons, some because of political reasons, also because of the effects of bad regulation, over-regulation of financial compliance. So Donald Trump, what he's arguing is that all his bank accounts and his organization were closed for political reasons. And the reality is that this is a huge regulatory problem that we need to fix. At least 12,000 Americans have expressed public concerns about they were debanked in the past 2 years. So we know that 12,000 people were debanked in the past 2 years at least, and we don't have clear data of the real magnitude of the problem, which may be way higher.
I'm going to dig into that a little, if I may. Do you know or have any sense of organizations and what type of individuals are getting debanked?
Anything that is becoming controversial in the eyes of the financial regulatory system, all these industries are being debanked. And this goes from people who are in politics, so people that are categorized as politically exposed persons, people that run nonprofits, many journalists actually, people that are diplomats, but also people that are running different kind of businesses, oil and gas, gun-related businesses, international trade with jurisdictions that may be more difficult or challenging, like Latin America or the Middle East. All these sectors are becoming subject of hyper-regulation from the compliance perspective. And as a result, then banks take the decision to terminate the account of all these people. The problem is that if we don't solve this regulatory mess, my projection is that in 10 years, everybody involved in many of these industries will be debanked.
When it comes to solutions, what are the steps needed to fix this? I know you have a piece out calling for structural reforms. Talk to us about that.
The only way to solve this issue is to have a structural reform to the Bank Secrecy Act in the US. I know that the administration has tried to do executive orders, but they really only touch on superficial problems. Right now, the issue is that the Bank Secrecy Act in the US overregulates banks, demands banks to check all your transactions, monitor them, report them, and it creates so much vagueness and so much superficiality and so much subjectivity when it comes to the assessment of banks to clients that it just pushes banks to don't have these clients. So to be precise, what do I believe has to be the solution to this issue? Only if a person commits a crime and a judge makes that decision, that person should lose their bank account, but not because of any kind of reputational risk or subjective criteria. We need to bring more transparency also, because we don't know how many people are being debanked. Because by default, banks are told to not share to their customers the reasons they are debanked, and we don't have a data of how many cases there are. So we need more data, we need more objectivity, and we really need to move away from the way financial compliance is right now.
Well, Jorge Jraissati, as always, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.